Angelina Jolie, Narcissist, Part 13. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We now turn to the relationship that Angelina Jolie had with Brad Pitt, who she was with for some 11 years, and then they were married, the marriage only lasting for a couple of years. I have previously analysed the coming together of Pitt and Jolie and the nature of their relationship and the various things that have occurred. And therefore, what I'm going to do is utilise that existing information and segue into it. This contains observations about both Pitt and Jolie to consider which of them might be a narcissist. This, of course, is an examination of Jolie, and therefore the remarks in relation to Pitt can be parked for another occasion when he will be examined. But since I'm utilising existing material that I've created, you will hear me talk about Pitt and Jolie in relation to their behaviours. I would invite you just to concentrate on what is being said about Angelina Jolie. Let us now continue with that examination. Pitt and Aniston announced their separation in January 2005, and she filed for divorce the following March, and the proceedings were finalised in October 2005. We spent a lot of time contemplating and thinking and talking about what we both wanted in life, and realised that we wanted very, very similar things. Jolie told Vogue in January 2007. Might that be mirroring by one, by both? And then we just continued to take time. We remained very, very good friends with this realization for a long time. And then life developed in a way where we could be together, where it felt like something we would do, we should do. Pitt and Jolie became serious rather quickly, with her confirming her pregnancy with their first child in January 2006. As I have explained in separate videos, a swift pregnancy is a narcissistic indicator. It doesn't mean automatically that either party is a narcissist, but making someone pregnant or becoming pregnant is a way of binding that individual to a narcissist. It is a way of asserting control, perhaps the ultimate way of doing so, by bringing a child into this world. Those of you listening who have been ensnared by our kind know that the existence of a child means that for most instances there remains a link between you and the narcissist, and that co-parenting can be particularly difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. And the fact is that many narcissists will either impregnate their victim or become impregnated as a means of drawing fuel, asserting control, and of course the other residual benefits. Might that have been the case in the union of Jolie and Pitt? And if so, which was which? Pitt formally adopted Jolie's son Maddox and daughter Zahara in 2006, and their children took on the surname Jolie Pitt. The couple welcomed Shiloh in May 2006. Jolie adopted son Pax in March 2007, while Pitt followed suit in February 2008. Their twins, son Knox and daughter Vivian, were born in July 2008. The proliferation of children, both in terms of adoption and natural birth, may well be the continuation of the assertion of control by one party, or perhaps even both. One of the greatest, smartest things I ever did was give my kids Angie as their mum. Pitt gushed to Parade in September 2011. She's such a great mum. Oh man, I'm so happy to have her. With a partner like Angie, I know that when I'm working, the kids are happy, safe, and prospering. And when Angie's working, she knows she has the same. Jolie and Pitt announced their engagement in April 2012. They tied the knot in France in August 2014, but then the union, commonly called Brangelina, fell apart in September 2016. That's a short summary of how these two individuals came together, and all seemed to be a bed of roses. It was all rainbows and unicorns. However, the union fell apart a mere 2 years after marriage occurred, although some 11 years after the two came together. Was this just another celebrity marriage that had fallen apart, unable to sustain the pressures of fame and the celebrity lifestyle? Or was this a case that there was a disengagement by one of the parties? A narcissist disengagement of the other, caused by one of the 5 disengagement triggers. We will be examining all of the evidence to make that determination. But let us now continue in setting the scene, understand more about the controversies and the caustic nature of the legal battles between these two individuals. Join me in part 2 for further examination. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, Part 2. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We now examine what has been going on in the last 6 years between Jolie and Pitt, which has caused such an acrimonious relationship between the two of them. In September 2016, Jolie filed for divorce after just 2 years of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. Was this a disengagement by her, or was she a victim of such poor behaviour that she felt she had no choice but to escape? She requested sole physical custody of their 6 children. The decision was made for the health of the family, her representative told US Weekly in a statement at the time. Also in the same month, an altercation on the duo's private jet led to a child abuse investigation into Pitt. He got drunk and was fighting with Angelina. A source claimed Maddox stepped in to defend Angie and got in Brad's face. Pitt was cleared of the allegations in November 2016. Pitt and Jolie reached a temporary custody agreement also in September 2016, 1 week after their separation. Jolie received full physical custody, whilst Pitt was granted visitation rights. They were both ordered to undergo individual counselling as well as attend family counselling with their children. He was subjected to random drug and alcohol testing at the time, too. This requirement for such testing, does that suggest a problem with regard to the use of drugs and alcohol, and might that suggest an abrogation of responsibility and accountability by engaging in such behaviours? We shall see. In November 2016, Pitt sought joint physical and legal custody of the children in his response to Jolie's divorce filing. While Maddox initially refused to see his father, they reunited in October 2016, as their relationship remained strained. What's behind the straining of this relationship? Might it be the behaviours of Pitt have been less than perfect, causing his son to respond in such a way? Or might it be that Maddox has been unduly influenced? Might it be that it has received poisonous whisperings in his ears that has caused him to take against his father? This, of course, is far from unknown in the dynamic where a narcissist is involved. In February 2017, Jolie opened up about the divorce in a BBC interview. "I don't want to say very much about the incident, except to say that it was a very difficult time. We are a family, and will always be a family," she said. "I will get through this time and hopefully be a stronger family for it." In March 2017, it was confirmed that Jolie and Pitt were speaking again after their split. They are in a place where they can put anger or hurt aside to focus on their children and how they plan to co-parent, a source revealed, while another insider added they are only speaking about the kids but have agreed that the kids' best interest comes first and that they will be civil to one another. Might this be the appearance of emotional empathy for one another and their children after a rocky start caused by the split? Or is somebody engaging in facade management? Perhaps both. In May 2017, Pitt talked about the aftermath of the split. He explained, "I was really on my back and chained to a system when child services was called." He admitted to GQ style, "And after that, we've been able to work together to sort this out. We're both doing our best." I heard one lawyer say, "No one wins in court. It's just a matter of who gets hurt worse." And it seems to be true. You spend a year just focused on building a case to prove your point and why you're right and why they're wrong, and it's just an investment in vitriolic hatred. Is this a fair observation from an empathic individual, or, given the fact that the court action has rumbled on for years afterwards, is this an exhibition perhaps of hypocrisy? We shall see. Pitt also said at the time, "Fortunately, my partner in this agrees. It's just very, very jarring for the kids to suddenly have their family ripped apart. If anyone can make sense of it, we have to with great care and delicacy, building everything around that. Our focus is that everyone comes out stronger and better people. There is no other outcome. I see it happen to friends. I see where the one spouse literally can't tell their own part in it, and it's still competing with the other in some way, and wants to destroy them, and needs vindication by destruction, and just wasting years on that hatred. I don't want to live that way." Is this a manifestation of emotional empathy, the demonstration of accountability, or might this just be very clever facade management, where an individual is able to identify the behaviours in others, but not in themselves? In June 2018, Pitt and Jolie reached a temporary custody agreement for summer 2018 after the court decided that not having a relationship with their father would be harmful to the children. The court determined the kids are safe with their father too. Maddox, due to his age, was free to stay with either parent. In August 2018, Jolie's attorney claimed in a filing that Pitt had paid no meaningful child support since separation, as of August 2018. In response, Pitt's lawyer noted that he adamantly disputes the contention that he has not paid significant child support. Pitt has previously loaned Jolie $8 million to assist her in purchasing her current residence, and has paid over $1.3 million in bills for the benefit of Jolie and the minor children. Who is right? Is somebody revising history? Is somebody telling lies? Is somebody throwing mud? But if so, who? In November 2018, the estranged duo avoided going to trial over custody by reaching a new agreement. Brad and Angelina will have joint physical and legal custody of the children, a source close to Pitt explained at the time. Over a period of the next 6 to 8 weeks, the monitored visits will come to a conclusion. The children will immediately begin to have overnight visits with their father. So, 2 years after the divorce, and the issues with regard to the children have still not been fully resolved. In April 2019, Jolie and Pitt filed for a bifurcated judgment, which means they were deemed legally single through their divorce, though their divorce continued. In June 2019, it was reported that Brad was enjoying spending more time with the kids, and things have been improving with the 4 younger kids. Brad and Angie have been co-parenting, utilising Our Family Wizard, which has probably been one of the most beneficial tools for their family in terms of keeping things moving forward in the best amicable terms possible. Once Brad and Angie began using the platform, it allowed them to coordinate the kids' schedules. They have very busy lives. Might it be that the fallings out with regard to the arrangements of the children have solely been as a consequence of the hectic lives that they lead? Or is there something deeper and darker driving the contentions? In October 2019, the French chateau where they wed caused more problems in the divorce settlement. The sticking point is the value of Miraval, a source explained. Angelina wants to be awarded the property as hers entirely because it was her idea to purchase the property to begin with. However, Pitt believed he'd been more than generous with other financial elements. Is this the exhibition of a sense of entitlement occurring? Or is this quite simply somebody else not being accountable with regard to the financial settlements? In November 2019, Jolie admitted to Harper's Bazaar that she would love to live abroad and will do so as soon as my children are 18, because at the moment she was having to base where their father chooses to live. Is this perhaps a pity play? Is this some form of future threat that is being utilised? Or is it a reaction of a fair individual who is being controlled by the decisions of the father? According to an insider, Pitt doesn't want them living in another country where he'd never get to see them unless he flew there. On the other hand, the director would like to move around Europe, Asia, Africa. In May 2020, the exes seem to be on good terms. Things between Brad and Angelina are better than they have been, a source said. They're more cordial. They're aiming towards resolutions that work for each of them. Is this again the return of emotional empathy, which had previously been eroded by the ongoing situation, hectic lives and court proceedings, or is it quite simply that it suited one or both of them to behave in a more cordial fashion in order to assert control and draw fuel? By July 2020, it was reported that their legal proceedings were slowed down by the COVID-19 pandemic. They are continuing regular visits, but there has not been a lot of progress in terms of resolving anything, an insider mentioned, as Pitt was spotted visiting the children at Jolie's home. Is the fact that lack of progress, was it purely down to the COVID-19 pandemic? Surely two reasonable individuals would be able to reach an accommodation with one another. Is it the case that this is two narcissists colliding, whereby they are not able to agree to anything for a long period of time because of the fluctuating need for control? Or is it that one is calling the shots, asserting control over the other, and the other has had enough fighting back? By August 2020, Jolie requested to disqualify the judge in their custody trial. Unfortunately, the individuals hurt most by Jolie's transparently tactical gambit of the party's own children, who continue to be deprived of a final resolution to these custody issues, Pitt's lawyers said in court documents. Brad says Angelina has gone way too far this time, a source revealed. He's left with no other option but to dig in and fight back hard. However, Jolie's lawyer stated, "All my client is asking for is a fair trial based on facts, with no special favours extended to either side." Niyama Ramani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, added that the tourist actress believed the judge handling the proceedings was biased in Brad's favour due to their personal collections. In court documents, Jolie's attorney went so far as to accuse Pitt's legal team of going behind her back to cover up judicial bias. Is this evidence of paranoia, or is it a justifiable accusation? To believe that the judge is biased is quite common amongst narcissists, driven by the paranoia that since the narcissist is not getting their own way, then it has to be somebody else's fault, an incompetent attorney, a biased judge, fabricated evidence, an awkward opponent. Or perhaps this is correct, that there was bias, and all she's doing is protecting her position. Might it be driven by her paranoia and be a further step done to slow down the proceedings, to enable her to assert control over Pitt? And is Pitt's response that of somebody who has his own sense of control threatened, or is it quite simply, as stated by his attorney, he had no option other than to dig in and fight back? We'll continue the examination of the background to the dispute between these two, culminating in part 3. Join me there. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, part 3. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and we continue our examination of the backdrop to the behaviours of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie by going through the ongoing court activity between the two of them. In August 2020, as the legal battle between the two of them continued, Jolie asked for their judge, John W. Oderkirk, to be disqualified from overseeing their case after failing to disclose ongoing business and professional relationships with Pitt and his team. In a response filed to the court in August, Oderkirk asserted that he can and will remain impartial in the actor's case, and that Jolie had clearly failed to prove that he'd shown any sort of special treatment in Pitt's favour. The same month, news broke that Pitt had a new love in his life. He was spotted with German model Nicole Poturalski in August 2020. How might that have impacted upon Angelina Jolie? Might she not have cared? Might it have amounted to a threat to control, causing envy to arise with regard to seeing her former partner moving on with somebody else? Was Brad Pitt just getting on with his life, or was he ensnaring somebody anew? In September 2020, a source revealed that tensions had significantly escalated between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, with family therapy no longer taking place. Might this have been a reaction to Brad Pitt having a new intimate partner in his life, or was it completely unconnected? Of course, where one party is a narcissist and they learn that the other party, who is not a narcissist, has somebody new, then those feelings of jealousy and envy are heightened by the narcissism in order to assert control, because the simple presence of another person in the lives of the ex of the narcissist results in a threat to control. The family therapy was no longer taking place as the two of them prepared for their October 2020 custody trial, now 4 years since divorce proceedings had begun and proceedings to determine what would happen with regard to the children. While Brad Pitt was hoping to negotiate 50-50 joint physical and legal custody of the kids, Jolie apparently had been unagreeable to those terms. Was she doing so based upon a genuine concern about Pitt's involvement with the children, or was this simply a unpleasant response by her by way of a need to assert control over him? In February 2021, Jolie reflected on the tumultuous divorce during an interview with British Vogue, admitting that it's been pretty hard to navigate. Simple statement of fact or pity play? She stated, "I've been focusing on healing our family." Is that grandiosity or simply what she intends? "It's slowly coming back, like the ice melting and the blood returning to my body," she said at the time. Is this rather dramatic explanation for what's going on, or is she simply describing how she's feeling? In March 2021, court documents alleged incidents of domestic violence. In her filing, Jolie claimed that her children were willing to share proof and authority in support of the accusations against Pitt, which a source viewed as nothing more than an attempt to hurt Pitt. Over the past 4.5 years, there have been a number of claims made by Angelina that have been reviewed and not substantiated. An insider explained, "The children have been used by Angelina to hurt Brad before, and this is more of that behaviour." Is it the case, therefore, that there is a revision of history and lies being told in order to assert control over Brad Pitt, to smear him, to denigrate him? Or are these matters true, and that his behaviour is one where he has exhibited an absence of emotional empathy by engaging in domestic violence towards his partner and possibly also in front of the children? A separate source later revealed that Maddox, the pair's eldest son, had already provided his testimony to the court. It wasn't very flattering towards Brad, the source added. Could this be the truth of the matter, demonstrating that Brad Pitt behaves in a less than savoury manner, perhaps giving us an indication as to what he might be? Or is this a biased child who's being puppeted by the other parent? In May 2021, Jolie claimed in court documents that the judge presiding over her divorce case refused to hear evidence from her children regarding Pitt's alleged history of domestic violence, claiming that awarding joint custody would not be in the kids' best interests. Despite her testimony, a judge ruled in favour of Pitt and issued a tentative ruling for the exes to share time with their children. In June 2021, after a judge issued a temporary ruling that would allow the former couple to share custody of their kids, a source stated that Jolie was bitterly disappointed by the decision. Is this a genuine reaction to fears of her children being involved with a gentleman who is abusive, or is it simply a reaction because her control has been threatened by losing part of the court case? Angelina's testimony lacked credibility, the source added. The decision was based on extensive testimonies from people who spent time with the kids by highly respected professionals. Pitt, for his part, was delighted by the judge's ruling, but the insider said Jolie was already planning her next move. She will never forgive him, the source explained, adding that the actress will use everything she's got to appeal the arrangement. She maintains it's far from over and still believes that justice will prevail. Is this an individual who is becoming obsessed with the assertion of control over a former partner, or is this simply somebody exhibiting emotional empathy for her children, fighting against somebody who has caused problems for both her and them? In August 2021, Jolie was successful in disqualifying the judge in her custody case after alleging that Judge John W. Oderkirk failed to disclose his prior relationship with Pitt. The following month, Pitt fought back, filing court documents asking the decision from 2nd District Court of Appeal in California to be reviewed by the state's highest court. Is he simply doing this because his own need for control has been threatened by this decision going against him, or is this a legitimate process that he's engaging in, fighting back against somebody that is causing problems for him? In September 2021, the pair fought over their joint ownership of Chateau Miraval, with Pitt alleging that Jolie's attempted sale of her share has cut him out of the chance to make a profit. The lawsuit was filed in Luxembourg. A September 22nd order stated that the Miraval dispute does not belong in the Los Angeles court. Jolie later responded to her ex-husband's request to review the removal of Judge Oda Kirk, arguing in court documentations that it was a last-ditch effort by a celebrity litigant seeking special treatment. By October 2021, after the back and forth over Chateau Miraval, Jolie sold her share of the $164 million estate and company to Tenate Del Mondo, a subsidiary of the Stolly Group. According to a press release announcing the news, Pitt would remain a part of the business. In December 2021, Pitt stated he would dearly love to date again, but the actor wasn't quite ready to have his love life scrutinised in the public eye again. He wants to find that special someone to be with long term, the insider added, noting that Pitt had trouble with the constant speculation, even when he's simply out for a friendly coffee. Pitt was focused on his family, charities and work, and hoped he and Angelina find a way to forgive each other and move forward for the kids' sake, if nothing else. This is now over 5 years since the divorce began and the continuing litigation between the two of them. Is it the simple case that neither can let go because they need to assert control over the other, or is it that one engages in that behaviour and the other is simply reacting to it? In February 2022, Pitt filed a lawsuit against Jolie, alleging in documentation that Jolie sold her stake in Chateau Miraval to a third party without his knowledge. According to Pitt, his former spouse breached their initial agreement to only sell their stakes with mutual consent and attempted to gain profits she didn't earn. The actor wanted the sale of Jolie's shares to be voided and to receive damages. Is this a case of asset appropriation, a lack of accountability and a sense of entitlement on the part of Jolie, or did she act lawfully and eat sour grapes by Pitt as a consequence of a threat to his own control? Unfortunately, this is another example of the same person disregarding her legal and ethical obligations, a source explained, claiming that Jolie violated Pitt's rights through her sale. In February 2022, Pitt allegedly tried to purchase Jolie's stake in the company. Is that him seeking to assert control over her? After news broke that he was suing his ex-wife for selling her shares in the Chateau Miraval winery without noting him. Angelina made the negotiations difficult and was not being fair, the insider said, claiming that Pitt was blindsided when he learned in October 2021 that Jolie sold her share in the winery amid their talks of him buying her out. He'd assumed they'd work it out because she knows how important the winery is to him. Is this facade management by him, naivety by him as he deals with a difficult opponent? Apparently, when Jolie sold it out from under him, allegedly out of the blue, Pitt was devastated. In April 2022, a source explained that Pitt wasn't ready to give up the fight for custody, despite Jolie's apparent hopes that the kids will want nothing to do with him. The fact that she states that she wants the kids to have nothing to do with their father, does that denote a smearing attitude, somebody who needs control and has no emotional empathy for either the children or the father in issuing such a statement? Pitt was lamenting to pals that his ex-wife would never agree to joint custody, claiming the actress was going to run out the clock until the kids are 18, the insider said. Well, there certainly seems to be some substance in that remark, given the fact, of course, that here we are getting towards 6 years after the divorce commenced. In June 2022, an insider stated that Pitt had been holed up in his place in Los Angeles while dealing with the ongoing custody battle with Jolie. It's very clear to him that Angie has gone out of her way to delay and stall the process. Might that just be a false allegation by him, or is it accurate based upon somebody needing to control the process because of their innate need to assert control over another person? It is common for narcissists to prevaricate, delay, seek extensions for the filing of documents, seek adjournments and continuances in order to stall matters as part of their need to assert control. All he can do is work with his legal team and file the paperwork while responding to her claims. Month after month goes by with one piece of red tape after another, endless jumping through hoops and bickering between their lawyers with no resolution.
In June 2022, in an amending filing in their Miraval lawsuit, Pitt's lawyers called for a trial by jury and claimed that Jolie sought to inflict harm on Pitt. The court documents allege that since the actress's share of Miraval was sold, the buyer has launched a hostile takeover, destabilising the business and tarnishing the brand's reputation. All of this is a direct result of Jolie's unlawful and tortious conduct. Pitt's lawyers wrote, in violation of the parties' agreement, Jolie has sought to force Pitt into partnership with a stranger, and worse yet, a stranger with poisonous associations and intentions. And thus, this is where we find ourselves. The divorce has not been finalised. Child custody arrangements have not been finalised. Fresh allegations are being made with regard to the conduct of the sale of Jolie's shares in the Miraval property. Did she simply sell them as she was entitled to do so, or has she acted in a poisonous manner in order to assert control? Did she do what she was entitled to do, and it is Pitt that is causing a problem, bleating and complaining about this conduct because she's blindsided him, and thus that has threatened his sense of control. The fact that this has been sought to be placed before a jury raises the prospect that there may well be another televised hoo-ha involving two famous celebrities, akin to the situation as we saw between Depp and Heard.
There we have the analysis of much of the marriage and the divorce proceedings, with the consequential mudslinging that has taken place between Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, to provide us, for the purpose of this analysis, more insight with regard to what Angelina Jolie is. Having now investigated so much about her life, we now move in the next part, 14, to the conclusion. Join me there.